Hey, I wanted to do a little unboxing type thing on this radio. I'm going to hopefully do a few more things, but I want to get this thing unboxed so I can charge it up. And as you can see, I got this from R&L Electronics. And they include a nice thick manual and with prices in it too, which is different from HRO, who usually has call for price on all of their stuff. That's cool. And in here we have bam, the FT-65. So the story behind this radio is I'm really hoping to kind of move on. I think I've outgrown my my Baofeng radios. You know, we've seen some evidence that they're a little bit dirty in terms of what their emissions are. So, and you know what? I don't need 3 Baofengs hanging around. So I'm hoping to pass those on eventually. And this was kind of one that I wanted to look at a little bit closer. I have a Yaesu FT-1, and I like the Yaesu radios. These handhelds, because they lack a lot of control. They're pretty menu driven, so from an operator's perspective, that's unfortunate because it makes it a little bit more complicated to operate. But hopefully this one will be a little bit simpler than my other radio. The FT-1 works pretty good, but it's got a lot of features I don't use at all. So, all right, so we have a full-on owner's manual and warranty card. I got the programming cable also. This is a unique programming cable for the FT-65 and the FT-4. The FT-4 is the small version of this that looks very, very small, but also has a simpler display. So here's the radio itself. Let's wrap it up in here. There we go. The radio itself comes with the charging cradle. Downside of this is that you can't plug it into like a cigarette lighter or something like that, but you know, we'll see if that's an issue down the road. Hopefully it charges faster than my FT-1. My FT-1 is like a 8-hour charge from the time it's totally dead, it seems like. So it's a long haul mules AC adapter, European plug also included, belt clip and screws, and on the side here we have the battery and the antenna. So a lot of people have said that these are just rebadged Baofengs, which I think, I'll say a lot of people have said that. Some folks have said that these are rebadged Baofengs. And there have been a few people that have kind of worked to dispel that. Even though this is, oh, this is made in Japan. I thought it was supposed to be made in China. It's interesting. Didn't realize that. Well, I thought that these were made in China, but apparently this one is made in Japan. And it probably still has the same Chinese style chip and firmware, but we'll see. And I'm hoping to do some comparisons between the two, and maybe I'll try and record some of those to see if we can't put all that discussion to rest. So, all right. 7.4 volts, I don't know if that's visible. 144, so. Wow. That's interesting. There's some significant QRM right out of the gate here. I don't know what that could possibly be from. I don't think anything in my house is that dirty, but maybe the camera running? So, whoops.
And I am on the base station as well. 87 Romeo Echo X-ray.
Wow, so I mean, there's simplex activity here is it's not bad, but I'm surprised that we just tuned in here and got something. But yeah, it feels great. Turn that down. It feels great. I know that this is kind of controversial here. Some people don't like this angled PTT button. And we'll get into that a little bit more. I'll play with the features of this more, but yeah, ever since the FT-70, FT-65, this has been here. My FT-1 has it flat, so we'll see how much I like that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to play with this thing, and it sounds like it's picking up people, so that's good. All right, and it's made in Japan. Who knew? So we'll do some more of this later. Okay, so I've actually lined my new FT-65 up with the rest of these here, and I'm just going to do a quick comparison. I haven't gone into the function very much on this, so I'm not going to do too much on that. Maybe just a brief look, but just the overall feel. So we have the UV-3R Plus, the UV-5R, the FT-65, and my FT-1D all on a line here, and you can see roughly there's a big cost difference here. So this isn't an apples to apples deal. Okay, this is kind of more just for information. So these two on the left are $30 or less, depending upon where you find them. So clearly a different price point. The FT-65 is about 80 bucks. I got it from R&L Electronics for I think 75 plus shipping, plus went ahead and got the programming cable as well, just because it was cheap. It was like $16 or $17. And then my FT-1D here is $150 to $200 used, depending upon who you buy it from and what sort of accessories it comes with and what kind of condition it's in. So this is obviously a very small radio, and this is made to be a little bit different. So it uses no buttons, it doesn't have a keypad on the front. It uses this jog wheel for all the controls. The buttons on it feel pretty plasticky. They work okay. It's good positive. There's no doubt about it. This jog wheel is a little bit wobbly. You can see in that photo or in the video, but I've tried tightening down this screw on the top. It doesn't really seem to be doing the trick. So yeah, it's not bad. Same thing with the UV-5R. This has a keypad. The PTT button, notably on these Baofengs, it feels like it's like a hard plastic versus the softer touch that's on the Yaesu radios. Like the FT-65, they're similar, and they both have this turn to turn on deal here. The buttons on this are not bad. The keypad's pretty positive. The only thing I will say is, because if you see how it's kind of beveled on the edges, it feels like the keys on the outside protrude more, and the keys on the inside actually go in a little bit less. So from a tactile perspective, it's not as ideal. These also both have screens that sit high and very proud on the top. These front cover panels are very soft compared to the Yaesu radios, I will say that. But in general, they're not bad. I mean, they for what they are and for what the money is, I think they're actually both pretty good. This form factor on the UV-3R is nice. The nice thing with the UV-3R Plus is that it shares the same jack with the UV-5R. So if you have a UV-5R, or if you have a lot of Baofengs, it's kind of cool to be able to use the same programming cables and earpieces on all of them. So even though the Yaesu has a similar 2-pin connector, it is different. They're much closer together, or the Yaesu FT-65 anyway, okay? And then the FT-1D, of course, uses completely different accessories, which is annoying all on its own. So all four of these radios are pretty menu-driven, honestly. Obviously, this is completely menu-driven, and you see the quality control here. This Baofeng label, I don't know if you can see that or not, is kind of falling off a little bit, or it's not quite on there right. But this is relatively simple. It doesn't have nearly as many menu functions as the other radios has. So even though it's menu-driven, you can only get to use this jog dial to kind of tune it in and do the functions. It's actually relatively easy to kind of to tune stuff up. The thing I will say is that it has a very limited step, so you can be spinning this dial quite a bit, and without the ability to actually key in something. So it starts when you first factory reset this thing. It starts at 400 megahertz on the UHF side of it, and it takes quite a while. I think you can get 0.25 step is the highest you can get out of it, so really not ideal. This has a keypad. It resolves that. It has many menu functions. It's actually harder to use in many ways than I would like, just because it's got so many different functions in the menu. It makes it really difficult. This radio is also menu driven. I just browsed around it, so I don't really know, but from what it looks like, it doesn't have quite as much going on, and it looks like it is simpler to program than the Baofeng UV-5R. I don't claim to be an expert, and I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm pretty sharp, and programming a memory into this thing, or saving a memory, is pretty hard. I can pull up a repeater and stuff like that, but actually saving a memory in this is kind of difficult. You have to like delete it before you actually save it. Whereas it looks like the Yaesu, based on other videos, just kind of drops it in after your last memory. And this one is also menu driven. It has these nice little hotkeys, kind of, I guess, on the front of the radio here that you can see. Something that the other, at least the FT-65, noticeably lacks. The Baofeng, the UV-5R, does actually have some kind of quick keys there, so good comparison. Also, these two in the middle, this is just a volume, on and off, and volume, all in one, and these use a jog dial. So this is controversial, maybe a little bit on the FT-1D. I believe they moved away from this design, although the FT-70 might still have it if I'm not mistaken. It's a single jog dial, which is nice because you can use this as like a VFO, right? You can scroll through frequencies with it. But in order to adjust your volume, you have to hold this volume down and then roll this. So it's kind of a two-handed operation. I know that people don't like that. And on this, same thing. It's all jog dial. So it's a one turn and one place to turn it, and that's it. And with that, I will go into the menus. So I wanted to talk about both the menus and the screens, so we'll fire this one up here first. And you can see it's got a backlighting, pretty simple two-line screen. It's got an alphanumeric LCD display. And then the menu here, you can see it's got a total of 19 menu settings. So that's why this one's relatively easy to program, okay? But you scroll through here and you push UV to set it, and then back, and then menu takes you all the way out. Same thing, volume, click it, and then all these settings toggle on and off, okay? So pretty straightforward. And also I want you to get a sense for the screen color as well when we look at these. So that's what that screen looks like. And UV-5R. So it beeps. I have the voice turned off. You can turn the voice off on this. I think you can turn the button tone off as well. The menu on this, let's see here, squelch. So it's got 40 menu items, if you see on the top right there. So a lot more to scroll through, okay? More customizability and maybe some abilities there that this one on the left doesn't have, the UV-3R doesn't have, but also a pain. Nice backlit keypad too on that one, actually. FT-60, I've only played with this a couple times. And the keypad doesn't look like it's backlit, which is kind of a bummer. So to access the menu on this, I believe you hold down... Oh, that's up. Come on. You hold down this, and then this is just an alphabetical order, which is kind of annoying. Well, someone's trying to talk, so turn that down. So there's 38 options on here. It looks a little more intuitive. I haven't played with it yet, and just kind of the videos I've seen on the programming make it look more intuitive, but we'll find out. And you long hold this to close it, I believe. And then the FT-1D has, again, a nice orange backlit display. And on this one, you end up holding down this set to access a lot of the functions. So there's a menu here, and this is a deeper menu. It shows 12 options here, but there's deeper menus in this. Trust me, it can get very confusing. And there's, of course, all the quick access features in the front here. So in that regard, it's interesting. Notably, well, this seemed to be picking something up when it wasn't. Oh yeah, see, I wonder if this is a more sensitive receive than the other ones. But, so you get a sense for what they all look like here. See all their displays, nice and lit up. And you can turn off the key beep on the FT-65 too, I would imagine, so yeah. All in all, this is just a one-line display. So all these three on the right all have kind of a dot matrix type display. This is a one-liner, so it's smaller, but there's a way to make it two, I think. But you know, it's simple, which is nice. Okay, so just to wrap up a few things here. So we went through the menus, went through the displays. The keys actually are backlit on this FT-65. I don't know if you saw that when it shut back down. It just lights up white. It doesn't have the nice pretty blue writing. And the keys are backlit on the FT-1D as well. So again, we're talking about $30-ish for $80 for the FT-65, maybe $85, and the FT-1D again. It was their flagship several years ago. Before I was really into radio, probably to be honest with you, but used on the used market for 150 to 200. This has a ton of features. It's a really good radio. I like using it. I don't use probably any of the more advanced features. So down the road I may, but it has APRS. It's got the GPS for APRS. It's got digital system fusion, and I don't really take advantage of those features. I might play with them once in a while, but I don't really play with them regularly enough to justify it. This has a band scope, which is really awesome. I do like that feature. So, this being aside, whether or not these are competitors, I will say that the only thing I will say is that these Baofengs will do their job just fine. I've not had issues with them. The only thing I do notice is that I've listened to the UV-5R, the UV-3 not so much, but the UV-5R definitely has a little bit of clicking and kind of poor audio, I would say, on receive. And I think that's probably a product of maybe some poor filtering. I'm curious to see if the FT-65 has resolved that. It does use the same so-called radio on a chip that the Baofeng uses. So it'll probably sound better. It's just in the little bit of simplex that I've heard kind of on and off between little takes for this video. It does sound really, really good. And it receives well. It receives very well, actually, from what I've seen so far in terms of sensitivity. And then the last few things, the belt clip on this is nice and robust. Funny that this radio is made in Japan. Okay, again, that was a surprise to me because other videos and photos I've seen are show this as being made in China. This one is indeed made in Japan. The components might be Chinese, but at least it was put together in Japan. But the belt clip here is funny because it's got this little extra piece of like molding that didn't get trimmed, so it's clearly the clip didn't go through the same QC that you might have hoped. But yeah, these Baofengs are okay. But I guess my question is, I went nuts and I bought 2 of these for $60, and then I bought this one later for another 20 at a Hamfest. So my life where I'm at right now, and with radio, I probably don't need 3 Baofengs. The size of this is kind of attractive for a particular niche role, but I never did anything with it. I never tossed it in my wife's glove box like I wanted to or anything like that. And that's on me, you know. If that's what you're going to do, then good for you, and I hope you actually follow through, because I didn't. But if you are looking at starting out, rather than buying 2 Baofengs, I would definitely recommend making the step up to buy this or the FT-4, which is the smaller version of this that has kind of the alphanumeric display. It is a nicer radio. I mean, it does have a nicer feel to it. One thing I will say is, we'll cover this. This is a little bit this canted push-to-talk button here. It's supposed to be easier. It's easier if you hold it in your hand like this and use it with your thumb. But if you actually have your hand around it like this, I don't think that this gives any advantage over the flat PTT button. So again, here's the lineup. I know a lot of people love the FT-60, and I think that the FT-60 is a great radio. I don't have one. I have very limited experience with them. It's also getting kind of old. It uses old battery technology, which is pretty unfortunate. And I think that the FT-60 is kind of interesting. I think it's maybe almost like an iPhone 4S, and it's kind of a watershed development and design to where they really got a lot of things right, and it'll be really hard to ever replicate all those things with an update. In my opinion, anyway. So going forward, I think the FT-65 is. Sorry, I ran out of camera space. I need to apparently clear out my SD card. But anyways, I will say that I think that the FT-65 is a pretty good option to replace it. Again, these are different categories of radio. I just wanted to show the differences between them, and I'm looking forward to playing with the FT-65 and maybe doing some more comparisons. I do want to get rid of my fleet of Baofengs, so I want to do maybe a few comparisons before I do that. All right? So hopefully this is helpful, and thanks for watching.